Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So lately, because we're in kind of the heat of tax season right now, I've been getting a lot of reach outs and consults for my business. And there's a lot of patterns I'm starting to pick up on. So if this feels like you, this is also a way of me saying you're not alone, but also to give you some sort of guidance on what you can do if you feel like you're in this position. So a lot of folks are coming to me and they're looking for a tax strategy. They think they're looking for tax prep, or they think they're just looking for, I need a CPA, I need a tax pro, I need a tax accountant, whatever, insert here. And what I'm finding is that there's a gross difference between what people think they should pay for a tax pro and what the real market prices are for the work that they really need. So by this, I mean that I've had a lot of folks schedule consults with me lately, and they've been coming to me saying, hey, I know I need more guidance year round. I know I need, somebody I can call, somebody I can text, and I can ask these questions to, and someone who will explain these things to me, someone who will respond to my emails and actually, frankly, give a shit. Like somebody who will act like they actually give a shit about me and my business. And this is like one of the most gut-wrenching things I have to say, which is, unfortunately, that's a rarity and that costs a lot of money because a lot of firms are running volume. They're running tax returns factories. They are, they could give a damn. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them really see you as a revenue driver, as a number, as a customer in line. And they do your taxes and they tell you, have a great year and they'll see you next year. Like that is what sometimes happens. And if you enroll with one of these people, just understand that like that is what you've signed up for. And the price that you pay typically reflects that. This is kind of a long-winded way of saying you get what you pay for. And a lot of folks are coming to me with these low-cost tax preparers. They'll say something like, I pay $100 a month, or I pay $300 a quarter, or I pay $1,000 a year, right? Like all these kind of similar price points. And like, I pay $1,000 for the whole year. They do all of my taxes and they include bookkeeping and they include this. And I'm like, wow, okay. And then I say, how's that going? And they'll say, well, I haven't heard from them in 3 months and they won't respond to my emails. And they actually forgot to do my taxes last year, and like insert all these different mistakes and all these different hiccups. Right. So sometimes like you really do get what you pay for. I mean, that's just a fact of life, but most people don't realize that just simply shopping on price is not what you should be doing. Like if you're shopping around, I'm looking for a CPA, and the number one factor that you're looking at is price, you will end up in this position. I'm guaranteeing you will end up in this position. If you're like, number one, I just need somebody who is cost effective, then you're not going to get a really qualified professional. You're not going to get somebody who is going to take the time to spend with you. You're going to get someone who is trying to churn out as many of you as possible and get it done with. I'm just telling you that in all honesty. And there's a question that I ask in my consults. Most of them, I ask this question, and I find it really revealing. Now, it is not meant to be directed at anybody. So I'm going to tell you what these two kind of questions are and let you kind of just absorb it. So one of them was, can you tell me, based on your experience working with your current provider, what has working with your current provider taught you about what you do want and what you don't want in your next relationship? This is a really weird way of like, kind of like talking about an ex, where I go, what have you learned from your last relationship that you're bringing into this one about what your needs and desires are as a business owner? And that is a really powerful question. So if you are in a position, by the way, where you're on kind of consult calls or discovery calls and you can use this question, go for it. But it's, what have you experience from your last relationship with a professional that informs your next one? How can we learn from those mistakes together, whether they're mistakes or whether they're just lessons learned? And that is a really powerful question. Now, unfortunately, it also results in pretty much every single time them shit talking the former preparer. However, here's the thing. It's not about just shit talking the former preparer. Naturally, that's what's going to happen somewhat. We try to direct it away from that and say, but like, what did you take away from that? Like, what did you learn from that? So, what are you looking for that's going to be different than last time? And what they're going to realize is, and what you're going to realize is that the denominator here is, well, I paid this person $100 a month and I got $100 a month worth of value. Whereas Shannon, who charges probably 10 times as much as that, guess what? You're going to get, you're going to get 10x the value. But most people don't see the value inherently because you see the deliverable as a tax return. You see the deliverable as the thing I hand you at the end of the year, the report, right? I think that if you've been with me for a while and you're a tax strategy client, you know that the tax return is like the dumbest part of the deliverable. The whole year I am in your pocket. The whole year we're texting. The whole year we're having these meetings, we're implementing strategies, and we're talking about how to navigate audit risk or the new things that are coming out in the tax law and how you can best leverage them. This is the type of stuff that you deserve to get. Now, this is not me advertising for my own service, right? I have a limited client roster and I don't need everybody applying right now. I really don't. I'm going to be completely honest. You can apply absolutely on my website, fitfinancialsolutions.com, and you can see if it's a good fit for you. Do not hesitate to do that if you want. But I'm telling you that what you should be looking for and what you should be searching for, if you're going online, whether it's with me or any other pro, is tax strategy, tax planning, tax advisory. Those are the types of services that you really actually need. And if someone is offering that, understand that's going to come at a higher price point. And here's the thing though, you don't have to save any additional money. And that professional has no obligation to argue their value in the form of tax savings, which a lot of people assume. So if you think that, well, is the person going to save me at least what I'm spending on them? And that's your factor to evaluate. I want you to take a good hard look at that because think about, does all the value come in the form of tax savings? Or does it come in the form of peace of mind, knowing that you are very prepared for tax time, knowing that you have someone you can go to and call, knowing that somebody is looking out for you when the tax law changes and telling you how it affects you, knowing that if you send them an email, they're going to respond to you within a day or two. Is that not worth anything? Right? So if you're evaluating your tax pro based solely on tax savings or on price and the price tag, then I want you to know that that is all you're going to get in terms of what you want. The services come at a cost. And this isn't meant to be my way of saying like, hey, you better pay up or you got to pay more money if you want, more service. I mean, in a way it kind of is, but what I'm trying to do is articulate that your expectations can't outweigh your budget. And if you're going to come to the table and say, I really need tax planning, I really need tax advisory, I need somebody who's going to be around year round, be able to respond to my emails and do all these things, that is a heavy investment of that professional's time. And if you want to have that tax person in your pocket, you're going to pay for that. You are. There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with having a low cost tax preparer who just prepares your taxes every year and just does what they have to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But where it gets tricky is when you have that low cost preparer, but you expect the advisory level service. And that is where the conflict happens. And that is where there's resistance and discomfort. And that is where you come to the table and say, hey, Shannon, so answering your question about what isn't working for me, I feel like I'm not getting the level of service that I want. And then my next question, which is a really tricky one to articulate and not feel directed. My next question is, okay, so you feel like you're not getting the level of service that you've invested in. Okay. How much have you invested? Well, I invest $1,000 a year. Okay. What do you expect for $1,000 a year? And that's an honest question. What do you expect for $1,000 a year? What do you expect that person to do for you at that price point? And that's an honest question. Like I said, it really it's not meant to be leading or facetious or anything. It's just saying, what do you actually expect? And if you truly expect all of that for that price point, I want to kind of wake you up to that that is not a realistic price point for high value tax services. You're looking at spending 10x that if you're taking your business tax strategies seriously, or you're coming to the table expecting, a high level advisory services. It's just a fact of life. Like, you're going to get what you pay for. You're not going to drive off the lot in a Mercedes at a Toyota price. You're just not. I'm not saying you need the Mercedes, but I am saying that if you are trying to get a Toyota that rides like a Mercedes, you're going to be looking for a long, long time. So when you're shopping for a tax pro, or if you are just exploring and saying, hey, I think I can do better. I'm not completely unhappy, but I feel like I could do better. Or I could find someone I relate to a bit better. Let me know. Let me know. Even if you're not exploring the services with us, maybe it's out of your budget range, or maybe it's just a different type of business or whatever. Shoot me a text message. Let me know. Are you shopping for an accountant? What are you looking for? And how are you evaluating them? What types of ways are you going to be articulating your needs, wants, and values when you hire your next professional? Share that with me. My number is 860-609-6374. I'd love to hear from you. There's also a link in the show notes if you'd like to text me. Did you enjoy this episode but want to explore more on this topic? Or maybe you have questions for me and our guests. One of the best parts of doing this podcast is interacting with you in the Keep What You Earn community. This community is a completely free resource for you to ask questions, chat about our episodes, and to connect with us on our monthly calls. Yes, all for free. We host this community on a platform called Circle, so you won't be bogged down by Facebook notifications or get your posts buried in the mix. So click the link in the show notes to join us in the community right now. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.